everybody, or Happy Easter,
or whatever occasion you want to have a big piece of ham, everybody. A lot of people, when it comes to a large piece of meat like this, you get really anxious, okay? Because a lot of people are not used to cooking big hunks of meat, all right? So that's one of the reasons why we want to help you through these videos, because there's tips, there's tricks, there's little things here and there that can make them turn out absolutely extraordinary. So where we're going to start is with the herbs. Now, talk about herbs in general with ham. It's like garlic isn't a really...
So I like to think of ham as a sweet meat. It's sweet and it is salty. And you want flavors that are going to complement that, you know? Like garlic is so, I don't know, it's very strong.
It's really powerful.
But things that are like kind of woodsy, like what we decided to go with are rosemary. I love these herbs. Rosemary and thyme.
And it complements
the sweetness and the saltiness.
Think of it this way. What was the guy's name that did the pizza thing that we watched?
Oh, I forget.
Jamie Oliver. Jamie Oliver.
Oh, yes.
Woody herbs.
Yes.
They're woody herbs and herbs. Herbs. Think of it this way. A pig is a forest-dwelling creature.
Yeah.
You want that woody herb, okay? You want that complementary seasoning. So go ahead, let's see how we...
Alright, so I'm gonna make kind of like a paste. And if I didn't have a spice grinder, I would just chop these up very finely. And what you want to do, I don't know if you can see them very well, but thyme is tiny as far as the leaf goes, and rosemary not so tiny. So you're just going to strip off as much as you can of, and if it breaks, it's soft enough to grind up. So you're just gonna get the leaf off. You don't want this tough part, but with the thyme, it's not as big of a problem, but with the rosemary, I'll show you an example. Obviously, you don't want this is literally like a stick, and you're not gonna want a stick.
Yeah, you're just peeling, you're basically just peeling the leaves off. Yeah.
You go against the way it grows, if that makes sense, to make it really easy. And then you chop it up, or what I'm going to do is grind it up.
We sometimes forget that not everybody has the kitchen tools that we have, and that's okay. So we're trying to show different variations. So why don't you just show like how you would chop this up, just a tiny little bit.
Okay. So you just want to chop it extremely finely.
Yeah.
And you just basically keep going over
back
it,
and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
I'm no chef. I'm sure there's like knife techniques with it.
Now, one thing is if you do have a coffee grinder, a coffee grinder works really well.
It does.
Don't worry about the coffee flavor, okay? That's going to be fine.
Just wash it after you're done so your morning coffee doesn't taste like herbs.
Your morning coffee might taste like rosemary and thyme.
I don't
which
know.
isn't so bad.
Might be good.
Yeah, right?
It tastes like herbs.
Your morning coffee might taste like rosemary and thyme.
I don't
which
know.
isn't so bad.
Might be good.
Yeah, right?
But you want it pretty fine, like this. So with this spice grinder, we're gonna have a really nice fine consistency. Like so. And for our ham, we're just gonna add a little bit of oil. You want it to be kind of pasty, like a thicker paste, so it stays on. So I'm sparingly when I add the oil.
So you're thinking about a 1/4 cup, but it's really based on like what your blend looks like. You're basically just looking to use the oil as kind of a medium to get it to a pasty portion, to get it onto the ham. All right.
Otherwise, it's gonna just obviously fall off. So
that looks absolutely gorgeous. So why don't you go ahead And before you go ahead and brush that on, start at the top, liberally all over. So while she's brushing this on, some of you might have a spiral sliced ham, okay? And what that's gonna do is that's just going to allow those flavors to penetrate even more. Some people may want to jab this, but I don't. I want the flavor to be kind of on the outside. It will penetrate in, not that far, but if you do have a spiral sliced ham, it's gonna go in further for sure.
Yeah, it's a much better consistency.
Okay, that's beautiful, and that is it for now. I want to talk just briefly about cooking temperature, cooking time, and how we do these calculations. So the number one thing when it comes to cooking big hunks of meat is you never, ever, ever cook according to time. You cook according to
temperature.
Temperature, exactly. So you have to have a meat thermometer. Now, you might have a meat thermometer that stays in there and is an analog little doodad, and that's fine. The reason I prefer not to use those is I need to open up the oven in order to see it. I prefer something that has a wire attached to it. This sits on the outside of the oven. They're not that expensive. And this little gadget here is gonna make your ability to cook big pieces of meat spot on, because it's science. And now, when you insert the probe, whether you have the analog or whether you have this, you don't want to hit the bone, okay? Now, what you can do is you can hit it in different areas, okay, and see where it's at. It's like, boom, right there. The bone is literally that far from the surface, okay? So I'm gonna come around and I'm gonna find out, like, where is that bone? And at the same time, I'm also penetrating this, getting some of those juices in there, right? So I've got a good spot, and it sits right about there, all right? The other nice thing is I'm gonna cover this with foil, and that's gonna work out. All right, when it comes to time and cooking, okay, there's some simple math that we can do. If you take this out of the refrigerator, let's assume that it's 40 degrees, okay? Now let's assume that our done temperature is going to be 150 degrees when we pull it out of the oven. You have a temperature differential there of 110 degrees, all right? So if I take my weight and I say this is 6 pounds, this is 6 pounds times 18 minutes per pound, I get 108 minutes, which basically means I'm heating at 1 degree per minute, okay?
Yeah, that's right.
It is, but it's deceiving because the way meat heats up from refrigerated temperature, it's not a linear curve, okay? It's not even. What ends up happening is it takes a while to start climbing, and then it starts climbing fast, okay? So this is something to remember when it's cooking big hunks of meat, because we're gonna pull this out. So we do need to do these calculations, and I wanna show you how these calculations are done. It's simple: addition, subtraction, and division. It's really easy. Is there multiplication in there? I don't know. So we got 1 degree per minute. So let's just say you have a 11-pound ham times 18 minutes. You got that 110 degree temperature differential, right?
Yeah.
Divided by 110. You got 2 minutes per degree.
Yeah.
All right? And you're going to see that once it starts going initially, it's not going to be, it's 5 minutes, 6 minutes, right? And then it starts to jump and jump and jump. I'm saying this because we're going to pull this out of the oven, we're going to remove the foil, and then we're going to start that glaze, that honey mustard glaze, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But I really want to drive home when it comes to big pieces of meat like this, how it heats, how it cooks, etc. Okay, so we're gonna foil this, and we're gonna come back to the time, and here's why. We are going, our target temperature to pull it out of the oven is 150 degrees. That's done. We're gonna call it done. And that's another thing with big pieces of meat. When you pull it out, it continues to climb the temperature, all right? So we're gonna pull ours out of the oven at 150 degrees. I like to pull mine out at 145, all right? But some folks may not like that. Might like to be a little safer and get it to 160. I'm not afraid. I'm doing mine to 100. I'm pulling mine out at 145 degrees, which means I'm actually going to pull it out of the oven to begin the glazing process at 120 degrees. All right, that's when I'm going to start glazing it. I'm not going to do it at a certain time. I'm going to do it at a certain temperature. All right, we're going to get the foil on. We're going to get this in the oven, and we're going to get rolling. So we're going to cover this with foil. Why?
Because it will keep all of the moisture.
It'll keep all the moisture in, and it's just going to steam, and it's just going to be
Which is what
gorgeous.
you want up to a certain temperature.
Right. Now, one other note on the pan is you do want to have it raised off. Some people have roasting pans. Isn't it amazing that we do all this big meat and we don't even have a roasting pan?
Not a proper roasting pan.
Not a proper roasting pan. We have the tools, so this is what, that thing that was in the Instant Pot.
Oh, this was?
Yeah. So,
it works.
But you want to get it up off of the bottom because you want that hot air to circulate all around it, and it really helps it to cook evenly. That's why roasting pans are raised off of the bottom like that. Okay, so we're gonna cover this baby up, nice and snug. There's no reason to look at it because this right here is our window into what's happening on the inside. All right. So back to the time thing is the reason why I say 18 minutes per pound is just really to get a gauge of understanding as to how long it's gonna take. This we're shooting for what did we say, 110 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
108, yeah.
110 minutes is kind of what we're shooting for, which means we can get the scalloped potatoes. The scalloped potatoes actually have to start before this because the scalloped potatoes take a whole lot longer. All right, so let's get into the glaze. Let's start talking about the glaze.
Okay.
So what we're gonna do, you go ahead and give us about a half a cup of honey. Can you get it?
Yeah, it's really sticky.
I already.
I'm just gonna eyeball it, but yeah.
About a half a cup.
There you go, babe. It's all you.
It's our jar of honey. We get to lick it.
It's antimicrobial. It's fine. Probably a good. We kind of taste it as we go.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own idea of what they like. More
Let's
honey,
just shoot for about 2 tablespoons on this.
Which is. That's like a heaping tablespoon.
Yeah, you're looking at about.
I like more mustard personally.
No, 2 heaping tablespoons. You're looking at about almost a 1-to-1 ratio on the honey and the mustard. And what's going to end up happening? See, some of the leftover herbs are already in there, and it's fine.
Oh man.
That's it. Oh my, that is incredible. Now I remember why we keep going back to this.
Yes.
Because it is ridiculous.
We want to try new things, but yeah, not with this. I don't know why.
What kind
it's
of
so
like?
Good.
All right. So we are going to come. Okay, we're going to come back at 120 degrees when the temperature hits. And then what we're going to start doing is we're going to start brushing that glaze all around it. We're going to remove the foil and and that's when it really starts to unfold and take shape. So we'll see you at 120 degrees.
Yep.
All right, it's showtime. Temperature's here. I'm gonna pull this out of the oven. Now, key, get that oven door shut. Keep that heat in there. That temperature, we probably lost 15 degrees just by opening that. Now, this is warm. If you just get the outside edges, take a look at what we got going on. As you can see, I screwed up. I punctured the top, and look at the steam coming off of there. So what we've done, I put a second layer on since my, all right, that is a thing of beauty right there. Now look at all the juices down below. You can see all the juices that are down below. We're gonna get a nice glaze on this, starting at the top. Let it work down. Now, you don't want a whole lot of this to dribble down into the pan, okay? So let it work down there. See how the cracks are starting to develop on that? Oh my dear goodness. Okay. All right. This is where we're gonna really start paying attention. As you can see, I put a cookie sheet out here on top because I didn't want to get honey on the oven. So we get that baby back in. No. All right. I'm gonna base that not every 15 minutes or every 10 minutes. I'm gonna base that every 5 degrees. So in 5 degrees, we're gonna come back and hit that again. And we're just gonna keep hitting that until it's the desired temperature that we wanna pull it out and let it rest. So in 5 degrees, we're gonna come back, do it again. All right, we are here. We're at 140 degrees. We're gonna pull this out and we're gonna let it rest. Now, look at this amazingness. Oh baby, all right. Now you're gonna see this on yours. This is gorgeous. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get some of those juices down there. And I'm gonna base those up, okay? Get those up on there. You can see there's some caramelized sugar down there. If you see at the bottom of your pan, it's starting to burn, so the sugar, the honey burning, just add yourself like a cup of water down to the bottom to keep that from happening. You don't want that. You can smell it. You can see I let it get a little bit too dark, but go ahead and get some of that. Get up there. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna take that foil, and we're just gonna lightly cover it. And we're gonna let that rest. The temperature is gonna continue to go up, and we're gonna give it about 15 minutes, okay? So actually right now we're gonna be on time. So we're gonna give it 15 minutes to rest, and what's happening inside of there, all the juices that have come out of the fibers are now going back into the fibers, and it's just absorbing all that back in. The aluminum foil tint helps to keep all that moisture from running away from us. Now, just a word on time here is this took 150 minutes. It's 6 pounds, which means that's 25 minutes per pound, okay? Now, that's why I use the gauge of 18 minutes per pound. So that differential, I took a little bit longer than I'd anticipated, but the reason for that is after that time, once I hit temperature and I start pulling it out, and I'm doing it every 5 degrees, I'm losing some energy, I'm losing some momentum. So I'm gonna sacrifice a little bit of time there in order to get that amazing golden wonderfulness. So we're gonna let that sit. We're gonna get it onto a cutting board after that, and we're gonna start cutting it. So, all right, 15 minutes has passed, and in that 15 minutes, we have seen the temperature go up by 5 degrees. So we're at 145 degrees. I am going to, now this pan is cool to touch. I'm gonna switch that. Now, I like to put a cutting board inside of a cookie sheet, and here's why. Juices are gonna flow off of that cutting board, and where are they gonna go? They're gonna go in the cookie sheet. Make cleanup a lot easier. I don't wanna grab it with my hands. I'm gonna get 2 forks. I'm gonna stick 2 forks in there and move it onto the, okay? And that's the amazing thing, is everybody worries about drying out your ham, and it's terrible. It tastes like leather. It tastes like your shoes, okay? It should be juicy and tender and just falling apart. So one word on temperature. This is why I don't cook it to 160 degrees like the USDA says you should. It's because the temperature range at 145 degrees is at the top range of medium doneness, okay? I'm not gonna cook a ham under 135 degrees because that's a medium rare, all right? So pork is a little bit trickier than beef. If this was a prime rib, I'm gonna cook that prime rib to about 130 degrees and pull that out. This is a different piece of meat, different animal. So we're gonna get in here. You can see on carving this bone comes down. All right, so I'm gonna cut along that bone. Oh, geez, look at that. I only need 1 fork. I don't know why I have 2. Oh, here. Give that to Mom.
Incredible.
Yeah.
You need a bite.
I will. I'll get a bite. So,
Man.
that bone, we were gonna come around like this, and we're gonna slice the top off. Look at that. Okay. Somebody see that? That, my friends, is pure. Okay, let's take a bite.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this.
I need a bite. Yep.
Oh my dear goodness gracious. It's really hard to beat this.
It's pretty amazing.
So, wow. What you're gonna do, you can see that bone. We're gonna keep coming in. We're gonna slice that right up to the bone. Fold that baby off. And we're just gonna work that all the way around. Right like that. And then once you hit the bone with the knife, come up, and that just peels right off. Okay? All the way around. Come up. Peel that off. Boom, right there. And then just keep doing that.